Love is in the air. Introducing my newest subclass mod, the Heartsworn Knight fighter in Baldur's Gate 3. This is like an enchantment version of the Eldritch Knight. It uses charisma for its spell casting, and it has a bunch of different force and psychic abilities with a red and pink theme if you haven't noticed. There are 3 different ranged cantrips here with debuffs or healing to the player, a melee cantrip that will give you effects like Booming Blade, but also aggro the enemy onto attacking you. We also have a couple more healing spells that will damage the enemies. And we have 9 different summons total here with red and pink versions of dogs, cats, wolves, a rose jay, and a special pink saber tooth, which is oddly in the files with an actual portrait. We also get Cupid's arrows here, which are special arrow attacks you can use per turn with different debuffs, kind of like the arcane archer fighter. And this also comes with 4 unique weapons, with bow being Cupid's arrow, and also an entire armor set here with this cool red and black dye. Here's just a brief overview of what to expect. I'll be going through everything in this video, and it also has full level 20 support like my other mods. Also want to quickly mention my Way of the Pizza Chef Monk, which I'm approaching 1,000 downloads on, and I'm super excited that Larian Studios has actually been playing with this mod in their stream playthrough. So yeah, go check this out if you haven't already. I'll go through the level progressions, but I first want to show off some of the unique spells and abilities that you get with this. So we have cantrips here that are going to allow us to heal ourselves, which is kind of interesting. Being able to heal for half the damage dealt on the 2 spells that we get and this 1 ranged cantrip here. So you can see there I was able to get a little bit of healing off. This one here will apply mental fatigue on the enemy, which is nice because that makes it easier for us to land control spells, so it synergizes well. And another thing to note is with these cantrips, our summons all get the ability to cast them as well, and they got animations for it, which is cool. This actually took quite a bit of time to get to work properly, but basically the gameplay loop with this is we try to debuff the same debuffs off of the enemies, so we also have things like reeling alongside that mental fatigue, so that can reduce the enemy's attack rolls so that we're able to protect our team. And that's a big theme on this build. This is actually kind of cool. This is one of special spell animations from God Gale that I used for that. So yeah, the cantrips are meant to protect, and I got 2 different spell lists that will level up with the player so you get access to new spells as you continue going along. One that's focused on enchantment and control spells, another which is focused on protection and healing spells, so you can kind of play a multitude of roles on a team. These custom weapons that I work on are pretty cool. I've been learning a few new things. This is just a retexture of a weapon in the game, but I was able to make it red and pink, which I think is pretty cool. But this pairs well with the version of Booming Blade that I got here, the Heartsworn Strike. So this one will actually deal a bit more damage at its main attack than Booming Blade. You can only use it per turn, however, and I made it a little sneaky one where it doesn't actually trigger the war magic, which is included on this build. Reason being is Booming Blade is extremely powerful on the Eldritch Knight because you can use Booming Blade to get your War Magic extra attacks. With this, I wanted to make sure that that doesn't happen because that is insanely overpowered. So that alone actually makes this a little bit weaker than the Eldritch Knight in some regards. Despite having summons, the damage potential from an Eldritch Knight is actually higher than this build. This is such a very hard thing to balance because of how strong the fighter is. But we also have our arrow attacks here, like the Rosebind arrow, which is kind of like a grasping arrow from the Arcane Archer, but it does poison damage on top of that. The Smoldering Gaze shot, which is a fun one to come up with, which will apply burning on the target. And then this one, the Heart-Seeking Arrow, which is like the Seeking Shot. I also use a similar version in ice form for my College of Winter Spirit Bard. One thing I'm really proud about, though, is I changed how the summons work so that I made all of them equal, because that was some feedback I received from my last mod. So I am learning as I go while I do this what people want and what people like to see in their mods. So this I streamlined it. You don't just continue unlocking spells. I have them all as a container here so you can choose. They'll all have the 30 health that you get at summon. So if you want to use the cat or if you want to use the big wolves, they'll function the same in combat. And from player feedback, I also made it so you're able to summon in the Heartsworn Sabertooth here, which again, I found randomly in the files. There's an actual Sabertooth here with its own portrait. This is separate, so you can also summon it in alongside our 2 summons here. The final summon you get at level 12. Again, this came from feedback. I was originally only going to have 1 summon and have it scale up in its health, but people wanted to play with multiple of them, and I don't blame you. Being able to have a red and a pink dog or cat or wolf is so cool. So I'll take you guys through the build, and I'll show off the armor and all the stuff that comes with that, the different weapons. But here, at level 3, this is when we get to pick 3 cantrips here. So yeah, you got the option of our 3 ranged ones with the Energy Drain, Mental Fatigue, Healing, or I like taking the Heartsworn Strike, obviously. This also gives you your summons here at level 3, so you get your first one. And then we also get the arrows with Heart-Seeking Arrow, Smoldering Gaze Shot, and Rosebind Arrow. This is a little bit strong, I will admit. Like, the Eldritch Knight scales up a lot higher with Shadow Blade, but this one comes in pretty strong too. I was playing around with making these spell slots, and like there's a lot of different ideas that I had for this, but it was a little tough to get this to balance and feel fun to play at the same time. So I made it so that you can use all these at the same time. I also want to mention the summons are optional. You don't have to play with them. It is fully balanced without the summons, and if you play with one of them, it's going to be balanced. But when you add in more, it just becomes more enemies that basically you get more sponges for the enemies, and it becomes a little bit easier, but it's not mandatory. Level 4, though, we get ourselves our first unique spell with Loveland. So I have this one to upcast all the way to level 6, and this one will heal you for half the damage that you deal. It's like Scorching Ray, but it'll have the movement curve of a magic missile, and it'll also have the chance to miss. So there is a bit of a risk involved with it too. And I made it a lower level spell because my intention was to incentivize spell casting for this class, because obviously as a fighter with 3 attacks at level 11, you want to attack. But if I made it actually good to do spell casting sometimes, I thought it would incentivize that style of play. I also gave Sanctuary because, hey, if you're playing with a significant other, if you want to protect your pet, you can do it with this as a bonus action. I think it works well. But the first group of spells that we get to select, so we get our control spells and we get our protection spells. So the control spells are mostly focused on like enchantment-based abilities or things that can debuff the enemies. Obviously, some standouts here being Hold Person and Command. I also threw Magic Missile in here because this one's another one you can upcast. It's guaranteed damage, though, for stacks of Unstoppable. So that's kind of controlling the battlefield in a sense. Also things like Hex there for a bit of extra burst damage. But we also have things like Create Water and Grease, which do control the battlefield. And for our protection spells here, again, these are mostly going to be focused on protecting your teammates. You got things like Mage Armor Shield, Shield of Faith, Pass Without Trace, which is kind of an underrated spell. And then we do have some healing options. Now, you are limited despite having a lot of spells. I didn't want to overburden people with selecting a ton of different spells. So I made those lists like large, but you only get to select a few of them as you continue to level up. At level 5, you get another protection spell. Level 6 gives a Heartsworn equipment. So all 4 weapons and the armor, they are a bit powerful, I will admit, but I made them kind of balanced in a sense that they do good. Like the gloves, for example, have the bonus 1d10 of unarmed damage, which means you could potentially do an unarmed build here. It's kind of my philosophy with all these mods, is that I like to have as many types of builds possible with these, but the gloves can also give you buffs on your different abilities too. So we also have our level 6 extra cantrip here, so you can round them out. I was going to give an extra cantrip at level 10, but I removed it because it was just annoying to have so many here. I also curated a special list of cantrips that I felt were thematic to this one, with things like Thorn Whip, Friends. So you don't have to select the ones that I made, but I made so you can only get 4 of them. I also have the expanded spell list here, which is kind of fun because this lets you take things like Find Familiar here, or any of the other wizard spells that you may want to have, like Longstrider. And again, I gave it War Magic. However, I did nerf it in the fact that the Booming Blade doesn't count as a cantrip for the purposes of triggering this. So you can't do the crazy Eldritch Knight Booming Blade attack, attack, attack. You're stuck with just the regular old, still powerful attack, attack, attack. So yeah, it's just 1 minus attack. Makes it a little bit more balanced when compared to the Eldritch Knight, who got a massive buff in patch 8 to be like literally top 3 build in the game. And you'll notice I've actually made a lot of my mods loosely themed off the most powerful builds. Like my College Winter Spirit is like a sword bard. My Pizza Chef Monk is like the open hand monk, and this one is like the Eldritch Knight fighter. But just wanted to offer a new thematic playstyle. They aren't actually based on them at all, but they do have some features that are shared. Level 7 also gives you another spell there, but level 8 is when we get one of my favorite spells, actually. Now, Dissonant Whispers is the base for this one. Dissonant Whispers is an okay spell. This one I made a lot better, so it does 5d6 of psychic and force damage and frightens the target and heals you for half. So, not bad, honestly. Again, I wanted to incentivize spell casting on this build. That's why it's a level 2 spell that is strong. I know there's going to be comments being like, hey, that's not proper D&D. I don't care. It's a video game. And that's kind of the carrot I was using, is making it strong so that you are, going to want to use that instead of just going around Booming Blade all the time. But I'm also open to feedback, though, so if people really hate it, just let me know, I guess. Also, the expanded spell list is similar to the Eldritch Knight, where you could potentially take Shadow Blade, or you can get Scorching Ray, or Misty Step, or any of these other spells here. I just thought this is fun. I like this from the Eldritch Knight, getting access to things like Darkness, personally one of my favorite spells in the game, so I think this is a nice option. I just want to throw in a bit of extra build variety here. Level 9 is when we get that unique pink saber-toothed cat, Pink Panther-esque. Again, weird that it has a portrait and stuff. I don't know where it was used, or I don't even think it was used in the game, but if there was an option or an area where the pink tiger is saber-tooth, please let me know, because I was curious. My theories were maybe it was supposed to be used for the circus or something in Act 3 that was just cut. There's a lot of stuff in the game that was. Now you'll see at level 9, our protection spells have increased. Now I added a bunch of level 3 and 4 spells here with things like Protection from Energy, Beacon of Hope, Warden of Vitality, Haste, Elemental Weapon. These are mostly styled around buffing up your team or doing something a little bit on the side of like protection. So the Guardian of Faith, and even Grasping Vine, which got reworked in patch 8, and it's honestly not a bad spell here because you can use it to pull enemies towards you. I thought it worked well on this, so I threw this into the spell list. Level 10, I also kept the Eldritch Strike because I think this is a fun ability. Again, I wanted to incentivize spellcasting on a fighter, and this is one way to definitely do that. And then we also get an expanded control spell list here. So this is kind of tricky because there's only so many spells here compared to the other spell list that I had. Oh, this adds in like Banishment, Polymorph, Everett's Black Tentacles if you wanted it, Confusion, Odaluk's Resilient Sphere, Slow, Hypnotic Pattern, Sleet Storm, and Plant Growth. So a bit more control over the battlefield. I personally really like Sleet Storm. Level 11, obviously the fighter becomes really strong at this point, and that's kind of why I wanted to incentivize spellcasting. So I gave it the Evocation training here, Mastering the Elements. You get Fireball, Lightning Bolt, or Ice Storm for an extra spell. Again, this is just so that you do want to cast a bit. Like the Eldritch Knight obviously doesn't get access to these 3 spells, and even if it did, it wouldn't be overpowered because you're a fighter. You don't typically want to spell cast, but if there's a lot of enemies in a straight line, it's nice to be able to blast away. And level 12. Now, I originally had this at a level 14 ability for an extra companion. So you get one Heartsworn companion. You can have a like a pink cat if you want to have the red cat. I had it at level 14 originally. However, from feedback, brought it down to level 12. You don't have to use it because it is strong. I'll mention having 2 summons, or 3 summons if you use the Sabertooth, is a lot. Not necessary, but again, for those that also want, I did put Aid on here so you can heal them up and bring their health up even higher. Again, these are all just options because I want to make this as open as possible. I talked to a lot of different players. Some like it to be easier for them and some like to be more hard. So yeah, I still want it to be fun and powerful and feel like you got a lot of options, but you can drag this off the skill bar and if you don't want to use it. It's not a big deal. But level 12 also gives us our last spell here from the protection list. Now, you can get some pretty cool stuff going with Mass Healing Word. I had like Blade Ward and everything being on the gloves, and I had to take it off because our character heals himself so much. So you basically had permanent Blade Ward while playing this. It was kind of funny, but yeah, I wanted to make it, balancing this thing was really hard. Level 13, so level 20 support here, gives us another choice in these spells. I found this spell list to be a little bit better, and most people probably wouldn't want another enchantment spell, so I just made the protection one a bit more preferred. Level 14 actually will give us more spells, so once we level up here, I didn't have it listed there, but we do get continuously more spells, so at level 14, we get our level 5 spell slots, so that means we can upcast our other spells here, and even things like Lovelands, I was able to make upcast for these. And then level 15, I gave the improved Evocation training here, which gives us our previous options, whatever you didn't take, but also Flame Strike, Chain Lightning, and Odaluk's Freezing Sphere. My thought process here, it's level 15. If you're using a mod that goes past level 12, you're probably wanting something to be a little bit strong, so that's why I put in some very fun ones. You also get the option to do like a Radiating Orbs build with this now, and you'll see why once we hit level 20. But yeah, Odaluk's Freezing Sphere, one of my favorite spells in the game, I had to include it. I just went with Fire, Lightning, and Fire, Cold, and Lightning damage there, just to keep it simple. Now, if you have a level 13 to 20 mod installed, you will get the extra attack number 3 here. So that's 4 attacks and Spirit Guardians, which I added to this at level 20 because it's a protection spell, and boy howdy, it's a good one. And again, for level 20 enjoyers, I did give an extra level 6 spell slot. It's just something that I think is really fun. Again, to encourage spell casting, because those who use level 20 mods typically want it to be powerful from what I've heard in feedback. Now, yeah, here's all the different abilities here. My favorite being the armor set, because I have it so that you just summon it in and it appears on your character. I think that looks super cool. This is like a modified Helldusk armor, or a modified Oathbreaker Golden Gloss helmet here that I turned into the Heartsworn Helm. So when an enemy fails a Charisma, Intelligence, or Wisdom saving throw against one of your spells or cantrips, you regain a 1d4 of healing. And you also get an extra bonus action when below 50% health. Now, I made it so that we don't have like a super powerful bonus action economy, but this could mean that you could get an extra cantrip into an attack off, which is kind of cool. It also comes with a +3 to Persuasion, because if I was talking to someone with this helmet on, I'd be quite persuaded myself. We also have the Heartsworn Knight plate. So this is like the Armor of Agility. I made it medium armor, adding full dex modifier, just like that. It's obviously strong, but you don't have to use this. +2 to saving throws, and then it has an additional -2 to the damage, so it's a little bit better in the Armor of Agility. The Heartsworn gloves here, when you use Action Surge, you get a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls for the rest of your turn. I love the gloves with surging accuracy. They're just not that great later on. I also put 2-weapon fighting on here, and Soul Fist, as mentioned, you get a 1d10 extra force damage on your unarmed attacks. So you can do an unarmed build if you wanted to. Full build options available. And also the Heartsworn Knight boots here, so whenever you deal elemental damage with a cantrip, you get momentum for 2 turns. I thought that was fun. Momentum's just really nice. And also if you get a concentration up, you get another turn of momentum. This increases your movement speed by 1.5 for each stack, max 5 stacks, and it goes down every turn. And also, you can't get knocked prone or moved whenever you're concentrating on a spell, and a +3 to stealth, so you can actually do a stealth build with this too. So yeah, I made it pretty funny that you could literally do an unarmed build. I originally had it as healing gear that was pretty crazy because it was applying a bunch of buffs to everybody. The problem is you have mass healing words, so you can bonus action heal. The helmet gives you an extra bonus action. And then we also heal ourselves in a lot of our spells, so it became really overpowered. Like, there's a lot of playtesting involved in this one. But for the weapons that we got, we also have a blade, a hammer, and a greatsword. Now, the dual swords you can use here, so you can summon in a second one. The thing is, I learned from my last mods that people like these weapons to be like summonable. I made them only 1 gold, so you can't cheese and sell a bunch of them. But with this one, it's going to give you momentum for every attack. So similar to the boots here, if we're attacking, we're getting faster. It's just meant to be a bit of extra mobility. They also deal a 1d10 of force damage, and they also get a +2 to your armor class if it's in the offhand. So it's not like you're missing out from using a shield. I know there's armor class +3 shields, but I wanted to incentivize the dual sword look because it's so sweet. I also got these cool VFX to appear on the sword here, so it's got this like red glow. This is something that literally took me hours and hours and hours of testing to find something I liked. I also want to say a huge thank you to Incognito Burrito, the creator of the Book of Rogues, Book of Sorcery, and other mods. They helped out a lot when I was making these weapons, and I was messing everything up, doing some crazy stuff. I made these weapons into a red, like they have a red retexture to them. I'm working on making custom weapons. This is my first step in it. So again, thank you Incognito Burrito for all your help whenever I was blowing things up and making a huge mess. Really appreciate that because yeah, this mod would not have been what it is without your help. And as well, Ace243 for your help in this mod as well. With the hammer here, so whenever we attack with advantage, we get an additional 1d8 of psychic damage. I like hammers. They all suck in Baldur's Gate 3. Finally, a hammer that's good. This also does a 2d6 plus 10 force damage, so your modifiers. Also, it adds on Grand Slam attack there, which can knock enemies prone and push them away, so I think that's really fun. Hammers got done dirty in Baldur's Gate 3, and I just wanted to have something a little bit better. I really like the red and pink design that goes on with this weapon. Now, the greatsword, interestingly enough, so I found in the game's file a bunch of swords like this. This one came with the pink already on it. I added the red there that's on the tip, just the tip there. But yeah, pink sword, cool. This is the Sword of Chaos. They actually made different versions, elemental versions of them. It's listed in the game's file, so there's like a lightning one, there's a bunch of different ones. This is the psychic version here, and this one is another sword that is similar to the Chaos sword, gives you health back on your attacks, and it also has a +2 to your armor class, so I made it more tanky, and compared to the hammer being more of an offensive one. And finally, we got the bow here, which is Cupid's arrow. Now, this one is another bow that I made. It's Gaunter mail, but I made it into a red texture here. This bow is really fun because it's like the Titan string bow, but it has the rose-kissed arrow. So this weapon will deal additional damage equal to your charisma modifier, and it's going to apply 2 stacks of drunk on hit. It also comes with Celestial Haste. You don't have to use it, but I think it's really funny because getting enemies drunk with your bow, it looks really funny. So when I go and attack Halsin, he's now stricken with the Eldritch Inertia as well. It doesn't always apply the drunk, but if you stack it up, you can end up knocking them on their butt. So you see there, we hit him again with the drunk, and with the Eldritch Inertia, it can put him to sleep, which is kind of funny. So yeah, that is my new Heartsworn Knight fighter in Baldur's Gate 3, so you can go download that on Mod.io. Also available on Nexus Mod. Please go endorse it. I only got like 4 endorsements over there. Really would appreciate that. And also go check out The Way of the Pizza Chef Monk, again, featured in Larian's playthroughs on stream, which I'm blown away by. And also the College Winter Spirit, if you haven't tried it out already, really appreciate it. I will be doing future updates to my mods as I get more knowledge and experience with the kit, so you can expect some future updates to these mods. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you all in the next video.